Alright, so this is going to be a video on Jabu wrong warp. I'm making this with the intent for 100% runners looking to implement this into their runs, but I'm sure this will apply to other categories that do this also. Alright, so you actually have to start thinking about this wrong warp before the fight is even over. You want the blue warp when you're done to be about right here, close to where you came in. And I'll put an image on screen right now to show a diagram of the room, but you have to kill Baronade and the back half of the room. It's the diagonal line from this pot to the one on the other side over here. So you have to do the fight a certain way so that Baronade dies on the back half of the room, and I'll show what that fight looks like. So during this part, you want to damage down to half a heart, depending on how much health you have. And you could do that quick kill if Baronade is like in the corner against the wall. But anyway, this next part, you're not going to grab the heart container. I'm going to save a state right now. And so you're not going to grab the heart container, you're going to get it during the wrong warp part. So I'm going to fix my health actually, because you want to be at half a heart because you're going to die right now. I'm going to save state now. Now, you have two fairies in your inventory for the 100% route. You have the fairy in the hammer bottle and the fairy in the real bottle. You need to use both, and so what you want to do is anytime after the fight ends, equip the fake fairy on C over Deku Nuts, so that is the fairy that will get used. If you don't do that, your real fairy is going to get used, and then you won't have another one to do the trick. So you equip the hammer fairy over Nuts, and then you come over here, and we're just going to do a setup to die on the edge of the warp. So there's two ways that people do this setup. I kind of just walk up and side hop, and then it usually works. But a safer one, you can just get close to the edge here, do a dry roll, and then side hop. You know it'll work when you see his right foot like up on the slope like that. It does work when it's not like that sometimes, but when it's like this, you know it's gonna work for sure. And then it's gonna be 3 side hops to the left, 1 back to the right, and then a side roll. And then side hop, backflip, and you're gonna drop a chew during the backflip, and then side hop once you land from the backflip. So it looks like this. You don't want to be too fast with that. If you go too fast with that backflip side hop motion, you'll be too fast for the explosion, and you'll miss it. So just yeah, don't go too fast on that. Now for this part, you need to get the heart container and avoid talking to Rudo. So when you're in this state, you will snap back to Rudo whenever you don't have any speed. And our goal is to get the heart container, and you can't simply just roll to it, because Link is always going to turn 180 degrees to the camera. So if I were to go and grab this heart container right now, I snap toward Rudo and start talking to her, and this is bad. You can't face her and be not moving, or else you will trigger this text. So instead, you're gonna roll up to the heart container, a little bit away from it, and then turn into it and roll and target so that your camera is now facing this way. So it looks like this. And now your camera's turned and he faces this way. And now you can control the camera and keep Link from talking to her. So now, once you're here, your next goal is to die again with walking while talking. So you're gonna backflip and shield drop choose until you get down to half a heart. This ground can be weird sometimes. As you can see, there's like a slope that sometimes happens. and you get into this like weird ESS shuffle thing. So I recommend holding fully down before you backflip, like making sure that you hold all the way down. So it looks like this. And you get down to a half. Now, we need to die and talk to her. So you're just gonna face and target her. You can't start the text while targeting, so don't worry about that. Targeting does keep her from talking, but if you also face her perfectly, like you face directly at her, before you target, you'll even start the text. So to prevent that from happening, you want to mess up your flick turn on purpose so that you walk a little bit, so like that. Or that was even a little too harsh, but my point is if you just, sometimes you'll get it like that. You'll talk to her even though you flicked and targeted. So you just want to take a little step like that. And you're going to backflip, shield drop a chew, and release target before you get hit by the chew. This will start the text and you'll die. You also need to keep in mind that your camera is turned a little bit, so backflipping for me right now is like a down left. And you know you got it when you see the little text box starting on the bottom there. Cool. So now we have walking while talking. The blue warp is going to activate once you clear this text box and the next one. So our goal is to get out of bounds and then trigger that text so we can start doing the wrong warp. So the setup that I do that I find the most consistent is this one here. You're going to target the wall, just backwalk a little bit away from it, and then do 4 ESS turns to the left. 4. And then you can just walk generally into this corner area. It's not precise at all. And you're just going to do a dry roll and then slash. You need to keep in mind that your dry roll is going to press A, which is going to advance the text. And the B button you need to press in order to slash. You can't be too late on this input because you will, if the text box finishes and you press B, it'll close the text and start the warp. It's not very precise, just be mindful of it. So it looks like this. So now that text box is complete. I'm in the right spot. If I were to press A, B, or C up right now, the warp would activate. So that is not an option anymore. So once you're in this spot, you can just turn around and then shield drop a chew, and you'll get knocked out of bounds. Next, you're just gonna do, I actually don't know the number, but I look for the A button to be lined up in the hallway, like this. There's like a little door frame and the A button is lined up in it, and I'm parallel with the hallway. I can find out the number of ESS turns and type that in the description. But once you're here, the strat uses the boomerang as a visual cue. It's convenient because if you hit C up with the boomerang out, it's going to close the text box and throw it at a consistent time. So it will always be at the right time. It'll be synced up with the warp. So you're simply going to pull boomerang, hit C up, and that's going to close the text box, and he'll throw it. And while the boomerang is being thrown, you're just gonna dry roll forward, side hop left, and wait. And you're just gonna start pausing when he catches it. So C up, he throws it, roll, side up, he catches it, and you're gonna side hop when the camera snaps to look at the blue warp. So I'll just keep advancing frames. There. So this is the frame that the camera snaps and looks at the warp. In the hundo route, you'll equip Deku Nuts over the over boomerang. And you're gonna hold down because left for link for a side hop is down with this camera. So it's just down in A and unpause lag. And there you go. So a good cue to use for when to pause is that the camera is always going to snap at the same point in the catching animation. So after messing with the trick for a bit, you'll get a feel for how soon after he catches the boomerang that it actually snaps. So you can see here, he catches it and then it moves. And it's pretty doable to one pause it even though it's pretty risky. But it's not that bad. So an important thing to know about, this doesn't happen very often, but sometimes you'll see it when you get to this frame. The camera will look kind of off. It'll either be looking a bit to the left or the right. You can use the two pots in the background as a reference. When this happens, the trick is still the same. It's just that now the direction to hold for link to side hop left can be a little like slightly left of down or right of down. So you just have to be mindful that when the camera looks a bit different here, you have to adjust so that link side hops correctly. And I don't know what actually causes that. I think it's probably Rudo's positioning in the warp. So I can't recreate it to show you, but it's just something to keep in mind. And just to close out the video, I'm going to show you the whole trick start to finish, including the fight. If you have any questions, let me know in Discord.